Welcome, Annie Collins here for White Rose Crafts. Today we'll be doing 10 cards, 1 kit featuring the Sweet Violet kit. Let's start with card 1. I went ahead and pre-cut all of our panels and our card bases. Now, everything I'm using is from the kit except for a few things, and I'll make sure to note those below. So for our first card, I'm going to go ahead and use some worn lipstick, Distress Oxide ink, to ink our flowers and our leaves, which are from the kit. These are just cut aparts that you get in the kit. And the Distress Oxide is from my stash. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to bring in some VersaFine Onyx ink so that I can stamp our sentiment, which is enjoy the little things. And I'm going to stamp that on that piece of pink cardstock, which I've cut from the layering panel of pink cardstock and from the center. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and start building our card. I'm going to head and apply adhesive to our pattern paper, and I'm going to adhere that to our layering cardstock. Proceed to adhere the layering cardstock to our card base, which is the same size, which is an A2 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to go ahead and make a wreath style here with it using the leaves and the two florals. And I'm going to just kind of work it out there. I have the flowers on foam adhesive, but the leaves I'm going to adhere flat to our card base. So I'm just going to go ahead and go around, try to keep it as circular as possible. And then I'm going to finish this off by adding a few of the violet pearls that are in the kit. I'm just going to do a little scattering of those. As for our sentiment, I'm going to trim it down here a little bit because it's a little wide and long. And I'm going to put a little foam adhesive on the back of it, and I'm going to adhere it right to the center. Make sure it's straight. And now, like I said, a little scattering of the violet pearls. Use my tweezers here to get them off the sheet and adhere them. I put some on the outer and a few on the inside of our wreath. And I've sped everything up a little bit so that we can get through all 10 cards. This is a longer video than usual for me today. So here we are on card number 2. For card number 2, we're going to have one of the pattern papers from the kit. One of the cut aparts, that's from the same cut aparts that I use for the florals. This is a little panel that there's like 6 of them, I believe, in the panel. And I'm going to just adhere that with some foam adhesive. So I went ahead and die cut some pink cardstock, and using a postage stamp die, and then I adhered that to the front of our card. So I adhered the panel, then to the die cut piece, then to our onto our front panel with foam adhesive. So now we're going to cut the sentiment strip down, which is "Here's to a budding friendship." I'm going to place that towards the bottom of our floral here, putting a little bit of foam adhesive in the back. And then I'll put 3 of the violet pearls on this card panel. For card number 3, we're going to use the doily and some of those decoupage flowers and the little bee from our stamp set. The decoupage flowers, it was 3 altogether, and I used 2 of them for this set of cards. And they're basically layering. You just pop them out, and they all are numbered. And I went ahead to keep track of it. I numbered them on the back of my card, of my flower pieces. And all you do is you put a little foam adhesive in between. So first I'm going to go ahead and adhere my doily here, making sure all the corners are adhered onto this little piece of pattern paper. Then I'm going to adhere that to my cardstock. And this cardstock is from my stash. I went ahead and pulled in this green cardstock. So you see here, I flipped it over really quick. I went ahead and put like number 1, and that goes down flat. And then number 2 will have a little adhesive, and that will be popped up. So here's number 2. I have a little bit of foam adhesive in the back. And then you just line it up and you place it on top of it. And you're going to keep doing those layers, and you're going to have a nice dimensional flower when you're done. There's the 3rd layer, and then finally your 4th layer. To this I'm going to add the little bee that's I stamped and colored from the stamp set. I colored that with my Copic markers, and then I'm going to add some of the sequins that came in our kit as our embellishment. Now I cut a piece of the specialty cardstock that's in the kit. It's the green one. It's the Polytonics one. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says, "The best place to be is in the garden." I'm going to trim that down, get a little angle cut here. And then I'll just tuck it just beneath our flower here. I'm going to lift it up just a tad and give it a little tuck right in there. Make sure it's straight. A little more adhesive down on our flower. And like I said, here's some of the sequins from the kit. And I have a full unboxing of the kit. I'll make sure to link it below. And if I can put a card in, if I remember, I'll put a card in so you can click on that, of the kit, so you can see all the components that are in this kit. I've created 10 cards today, and I have enough to create another 10 or more. So I'll create some more and show them off to you. On to card number 4. Again, we're going to be using one of those card panels, some foam adhesive, this shimmering cardstock that is from the kit, some of the pearls, and I just brought in some craft adhesive foam for our kit. We're going to stamp our sentiment right in the center here, and it's "A garden grows with love." It fits perfectly in that wreath area. And this is just some craft foam that I put some adhesive on just to get it to, I like to put it on those panels so they can be nice and firm all across. So I put that layering cardstock, but before we move on, I'm going to bring in some shimmer sprays here. And these were from Heidi Swapp. I don't know if these are still available. These are Heidi Swapp Color Shine sprays. I pulled in amethyst and blush. For this one I pulled in the amethyst, which is a nice purple. And these aren't available, I'll see what's available in the White Rose Crafts shop and link that. So I'm going to bring in some of the pearls from the kit. And from the sequin pack, I pulled out a little floral design. Tiny little floral thing, and I stuck it on there. So I just created 2 clusters. I didn't bring in too many things from my own stash. This kit's pretty full. I did bring in a few pieces of cardstock, the flat cardstock, not the shimmering, and of course my foam adhesive and my liquid adhesive. Alright, this is again one of those decoupage flowers that you pop out. And here I'm showing you I'm going to create a little bundle. So I took that doily and I cut off about a 4th piece of it. And then I folded it so I got a nice little triangle shape. I'm layering that pattern paper onto our card panel. And now I'm going to take some of the raffia that's from the kit, and I'm going to put that towards the bottom here. I'm going to put some Craft tape, double stick tape on the back of it, so I can adhere it there, so I can maneuver my little buckle here, this little pearl buckle that's from the kit. It's a cute embellishment. And I'm going to thread through the raffia through this little buckle. So bear with me here. It's a little finicky, but once you get it in there, and I pull it just a little tight. I don't want it too tight. Once I get it where I want, I'll put some more of this Craft double-sided tape on the back of it and adhere it to the card panel. I'll trim off any of the extra of this raffia in a second. I put a little bit of that double-sided tape underneath that little bow. No, what is that? The slider, the ribbon slider, so it can stay in place. Now I'm just going to tuck in the layer 1 of the flowers, And I cut off that leaf, and I'm just going to place it right on top with a little adhesive, because it wouldn't be seen, otherwise it would be tucked all the way in. So now for layer number 2, I'm going right over the doily. Sort of when you get flowers, they don't all stay within that. You know, when you get them bunched up, they don't stay all within the wrapper, some of them stick out. Well, that's what I'm trying to mimic here. And this is a quick and easy card because you just punch these out and just layer them. We're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment, and it says flowers just for you. And then we'll bring in, of course, a couple pearls from this kit and adhere them to the card. And that card is now complete. I love all the dimension that this adds. Card number 6. We're going to use this I pulled this out from my stash. This is a jelly bean soup little shaker kit. And I'm going to use the sequins from the kit to create this card. This layering paper is from the kit. I went ahead and cut out my circle so my little cup can fit in there. I have some layering pieces of specialty paper from the kit. And I just traced the opening of that card on the back of this pattern paper and cut it out. I used a X-Acto knife, but you can use a punch or a die to cut your circle. I am adhering the little cup in there because one side is plain and the other side has adhesive. You need to put a little adhesive on it so it stays in place for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill my little cup with all the sequins, and to avoid some of that static, I just put a little of that anti-static powder in there, and it'll keep it from getting too staticky. Now for the back of my card, to seal up our shaker, I'm going to go ahead and put this pink panel. So you'll see in the back of the shaker it'll be pink, so will the inside of your card, but it coordinates nicely with the kit. Get that all pressed into place, make sure it's nice and firm. And now I'm going to stamp our sentiment. This is a piece of the scrap of the same paper, same pattern paper, because these papers are 6x6, and you have to cut them down. And all my cards today are A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I had that little scrap there. I'm going to stamp my sentiment, which says Floral by Butterfly, and I'm going to adhere that onto that shimmering layering specialty paper that's from the kit. And I'm going to put some foam adhesive behind this, and I'm going to just tuck it right there within the flowers. So you have that nice shimmer coming from behind the sentiment. Now these big butterflies are part of the shaker, the sequin pack that comes in your kit. I just pulled them out and I'm going to use them as an embellishment on the card instead of putting them in the shaker. I'm going to also use some of this Wink of Stella, which is a glitter violet color, and I'm filling the centers of all of the flowers that are there to give them a little more dimension. And there we go, that card is complete. And moving on to our next card, we're going to use the wood veneers that came in the kit along with the pattern paper. This purple cardstock is from my stash. It's a layering cardstock. And I'm going to use the flowers that came in the kit and 3 pieces of the specialty paper. Also, I'm bringing in some distressed oxides and wilted violet and worn lipstick. We're going to use these to color our wood veneers. So for the doily, I'm going to use a little bit of worn lipstick. And for the sentiment, which reads Forever Friends, and it has a little heart, I'm rubbing that through the wilted violet. I'm going to heat set these really quick so that I can move on and we can put our card together. You can let them dry while you set your card up, but I wanted to just heat set them really quick. I'm also putting a little bit of this Wink of Stella glitter violet pen onto the Forever Friends sentiment, and then I'm going to set that aside to dry. So I'm bringing in our panel. This is the pattern paper, and again I'm bringing in some of that Color Shine spray in amethyst and blush, and I'm putting in little speckles, little splatters on there. I heat set that really quick, and we're going to adhere this pattern paper to our card panel here that is the purple paper. Now from the kit, the specialty paper, this shimmering cardstock in the pink, which is mountain pink, and then the green shimmering paper, and this layering paper. I'm just cutting little flags onto the ends of them, and I'm going to stagger them beneath this doily. Just figuring out my placement. And now I'm going to just adhere these sort of stacked with on top of one another in the center here. Once I get that, I'm going to adhere our doily and then our sentiment. Trying to figure out my placement. And I hold the doily in place for a few seconds to make sure it dries. You can put, something heavy on it. Now I cut the little stems off my flowers, and I'm just going to adhere them with a little glue onto the doily. This card is a little more dimensional, so it's a good one to hand to someone, or you'll need extra postage if putting it through the mail. I have a little puffy butterfly that I have from my stash, and I'm going to add that to the doily. It's a little purple butterfly. And then I'm going to adhere the sentiment right over there. And then I'm going to adhere this card panel to our card base. Lining that up. And that card is now complete. I love the shimmer that we have from all those papers. Our next card, we're going to go ahead and use 2 layering cardstocks from my stash, and the rest of the components are from the kit. Alright, so we're going to start by adhering this, we're going to use the sentiment bloom on this here. Alright, we're going to adhere this pattern paper, which I've cut in an angle, onto this cream colored cardstock. I'm going to trim off any excess that may be hanging off, and I'm going to then adhere the ribbon, and then I lost a bit of that there, but I adhered the ribbon and the stamped bloom on a diagonal onto that, and then I went ahead and adhered that whole panel onto the purple cardstock. I cut some purple cardstock, and one of the card panels that we have in the kit to use as my focal point here. I'm adhering some of the buttons that are in the kit as our embellishment. And I'm bringing in 2 lavender jewels to add as center to our floral buttons here. And there, we're done with this card. For card number 9, we're going to, again, this is going to be a landscape card. And this pattern paper is so beautiful. It has those little edges. I went ahead and die cut from the green shimmer paper, that circle. And we're going to bring in the wilted violet and the worn lipstick again. And there's already some distress on this panel, but I want to add some more. So I'm going to add some of that blush and amethyst spray. So I'm going to put those little splatters on here. And I went ahead and cut out those little flowers from the card panels that came in the kit. We had used the pink ones earlier, and now we're using the violet colored ones. And then we're going to use the leaves here, which are the pink leaves. And I'm just using a little bit of Distress Oxide on the edges, because otherwise there would be white edges, and this gives them, a nicer touch, more finished touch. Now I'm going to adhere this lace towards the bottom here. I'm going to put a little liquid glue. I should have just used my Kaisercraft double stick tape, but I wasn't thinking. I just stuck the liquid glue on there. For my ribbon, I do go ahead and, I put it here on the back, but on my ribbon I do use the Kaisercraft double stick tape. But before I adhere my ribbon, I'm going to put one of those little pearl sliders on there. Those little pearl buckles, they're so cute. I'm going to go ahead and put the double-sided adhesive and then press that down onto my card base. My card panel. I'm going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment, which reads, "Here's to a budding friendship." And I'm going to stamp this directly onto this. And I get it on the first try, which is amazing. because I didn't use my stamping platform. I don't know what I was thinking. I think a moment of lunacy happened there. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere this little this circle, and I cut off the extra, so now I have a little half circle on here. I'm going to adhere this layering paper or cardstock to my cardstock layer, giving me a nice little 1/8 of an inch all around. And now we're going to build a little bouquet of flowers right on that little green semicircle. And I've used pop dots on the back of the florals, and then the leaves I'm adhering directly to the card. Just tucking those in, and then I'll bring in the wink of Stella to do the centers of our flowers. And then you have plenty of shimmer and shine between that shimmering paper, the wink of Stella, and the little splatters. It's got enough embellishment, and that slider gives it that nice pearly color. I love that double lace as well. And here's card number 10. So I have the pattern paper from the kit, some of the specialty paper in the green and the purple paper, some lace, and I went ahead and stamped and colored all of the images from our stamp set. I have a few of the sequins from the kit and a layering purple cardstock from my stash. We're going to start by adhering our specialty paper here towards the bottom. I'm going to create sort of like a garden box. So I'm going to put that down. I'm going to trim off any of the extra. And then I'll place a little bit of the lace to give us sort of that gate little feel to our garden here. See, this one I used the Craft double-sided adhesive, and it went down so much easier. And then some of the raffia in the green, I also used the double-sided adhesive on there. And I'm just making sure I tuck any extra adhesive underneath. And then I'll just fold any of that left over behind here. Okay, so now I'm going to adhere this to our layering cardstock, which is this purple, this darker purple here. And I'm using liquid adhesive for this. I use liquid adhesive for most of my cards. Now I'll adhere this to our card base, and then we'll continue building our card. And I said I stamped and colored all the images, and I colored them with my Copic markers. I'll have those markers listed below. So here are the little images, and I'm just going to create a little, I'm just going to tuck them along that green raffia on the bottom. We'll start, and some will get adhered directly to the card, and some will be adhered with foam adhesive. So I'll start with the little watering can. Then I'll move on to the little flower, because these are two purple colored items, so I want them one on each end. I'm going to start putting in my flowers here. And I've moved the little tulip to the other side because I have those pink flowers in the pot. And these taller flowers, I put a foam adhesive on the top and then glue towards the bottom, so that just the buds actually pop off the card. I'm gonna put the next one down. It's just the tulips. Here we go. And then we'll adhere those little bundles of florals and our little snail. And so those little flowers there will go in the center. Using some foam adhesive, and then I have a little snail. Trying to get him, there he is. And he's gonna go here next to our flower pot. So now we have them all scattered across the bottom here. A little butterfly is gonna go up here on the top. I'm just curving the little wings a bit there. And I'm just putting mostly adhesive to the center of our butterfly. Now I'm going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment, so I'm going to set that to the side. And I'm going to use the sentiment again that says, enjoy the little things. And I'm stamping that onto the shimmery green cardstock from the kit. It's the Aspire Petalics. Petalics, not Pelotonics. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to trim our sentiment down a little bit, put a little foam adhesive behind it, and I smeared my sentiment. It wasn't quite dry and I stuck my finger in it. The last I'm going to add here our little bumblebee up here. And then I'm going to add a few sequins onto our card. Oh, before I do that, I'm putting a little wing of Stella to the center of our butterfly, and I'm adding little dots of it to the wings. So now I'm going to add our sequins. I'm going to put 3 up here by the sentiment, and then the rest I'm going to scatter throughout the little flowers and things on the bottom here, so that you have a little shimmer and shine down there as well. And in that sequence there's little hearts and little florals. It's just a beautiful, and little tiny butterflies as well as the big butterflies. So you have a nice, amount and sizes of sequins to add to your cards. And there we're done. So let's go over the 10 cards once again, so that you can see them. Some of them have lots of nice dimension, others are a little more flat, but all of them have something beautiful from the kit. And like I said, I created all of these 10 cards, and still I have plenty of items to use to create more cards, which I will be creating some more in the next couple days. This is again a White Rose Crafts kit. This is called Sweet Violet, and I'll have all the items in the kit linked below, as well as the items I used that were from my stash, and a link to the store where you can purchase this kit, and to our Facebook group where you can join us for inspiration. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you found some inspiration today.